Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to The Ox and the Rat. I'm your host, The Ox.
And I'm the Rat.
Rat, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you, Ox?
I felt like crap yesterday. Really not feeling well. And today I'm fine. I don't understand. And it's always one of those things when you get like maybe sick or who knows what it was. Like these days where you're like, oh, I've got the COVID. Like then you wake up the next day, it's like, well, that was nothing. Yeah.
Was it booze-induced COVID?
No. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't think anybody who's healthy would be able to tell the difference between COVID sickness or whatever. Anyways, so yeah, whatever. I still managed to work out yesterday, even though I felt like dirt, and kind of did it today. Got some beer brewing upstairs at the same time, trying to turn that into a business. Actually, I'm really like more and more convinced that that's what I want to do. At least
I always told you.
Why? What did you tell me?
I always said you should do like a brewmaster course or something like that.
Yeah,
that's what you're interested in.
The brewmaster stuff is questionable. There's like you really pay a premium for stuff that you already kind of know. You'd have to be like where it would matter is if you were trying to get a job at a brewery rather than trying to start your own. And a lot of it's related to like high volume shit, which is important, right? Because then you're there's a business aspect to it, right? You're dealing with efficiency.
Scaling up.
Yeah, and then because then efficiency becomes really important, right? Efficiency is how much alcohol you're extracting, how accurate your numbers are when you plan versus what you produce, and like as well like how much making sure you hit your mark if you plan to make 10 gallons of beer, which is a small amount for a large capacity for a brewery, then that you get 10 gallons because you plan pricing based on that. So yeah, useful if you're going all the way in that direction. I'm just not there, but I've already looked into all of that. I mean, I like my job, what I do, being an instructional designer. I just see this as a side hobby where I can pay for my vice, kind of thing. What about you? You ever think of switching careers? I think I asked you before.
Not really. I feel like if I switched, it would pay less, and I could do it, like do what I like doing graphic design and stuff at the same time. So currently, I'm okay. I just got a tiny bump in pay for next year. So there you go, 3.5%. But then also, I was supposed to be getting lower because it's marked to like the US dollar. But there was a lower exchange rate, so I said, can I get a little higher? Because that's what I signed at, and they said they agreed, even though it's tough times. So that was good.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's pretty amazing to think, like, as much as I complain sometimes, it's like I'm so thankful to have a job. And, I'm sure you feel the same. Sometimes it's hard to remember that, to be grateful, but I mean, especially for me, I'm still stunned when I take a minute when I'm happy about everything. Like, I made a complete career change during a massive economic crisis. I don't know how. I'm still thinking about how that was possible, but yeah, it's happening. Anyways, let's get moving then, because that beer upstairs needs to go into its boil soon.
All right.
And I think it's late for you.
Getting there.
What time is it?
It's 9 p.m. But I wake up at like 6, so.
Yeah, me too.
Long days.
Yeah. All right. Well, this one is called The Ant and the Dove, which is immediately got you thinking like, doves eat ants, I'm pretty sure. So I'm curious as to where this is going. Do you have a prediction about this based on that it's an ant and a dove?
I think a colony of ants eats a dove.
Yeah, All right, that would be
twist.
And the moral of that would be
strength in numbers.
strength in numbers. Yeah, that's actually not bad. That's even the smallest can overcome the greatest of challenges when we work together. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, beginning. A dove saw an ant fall into a brook, which is like a small river. The ant struggled in vain to reach the bank, and in pity, the dove, well, suddenly there's a dove, could do a little bit better introducing these characters. The dove dropped a blade of straw close beside it, clinging to the straw like a shipwrecked sailor to a broken spar. Spar is one of the beams on a boat, I guess. The ant floated safely to shore. Soon after, the ant saw a man getting ready to kill the dove with a stone. But just as he cast the stone, the ant stung him in the heel, so that the pain made him miss his aim, and the startled dove flew to safety in a distant wood. That is a really cool one. I like that. I didn't see the second part coming, and it's probably a bit ridiculous, but if he was a scorpion, I think that would make more sense. But, all right. So what do you think the moral of this is?
Ooh, what's that noise?
That was, if you click the graphic, it shows you, it animates the dove putting the...
flying away.
Putting the blade of grass in, and I guess that's the sound a dove makes.
The moral of this story is... something about like good deeds, no good deed goes undone or something. I don't know what the ending is of that.
Wow. You almost exactly got it. That's like a first time. A kindness is never wasted. Pretty much the same, eh?
Yeah.
I like this one because I think I'm a bit of a pessimist in a lot of ways. And, I've become more optimistic, but as you know, I used to be a lot more of a pessimist. I don't know that I agree immediately, but yeah, kindness is never wasted. Kindnesses are frequently wasted, especially I think when it comes to friends. I think because it's hard to keep track, especially if you're regularly with somebody. Friends and loved ones, it's easy to like, kind of be like, well, of course you did that. You're supposed to do that, right? I remember doing that as a kid. It's like, well, you're my parents. Of course you did that, right? Which is the height of privilege. But anyways, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's as immediately repaid as in the story.
Can you think of a time when, like, I guess, like a big one, like one time when you're like, I can't friggin' believe that you did that after, maybe like the opposite, like a kindness is, because if you start with the opposite, then that'll help kind of triangulate whether or not you agree. Like, if you think of a time when the exact opposites happen, like a kindness was not just wasted, but thrown back in your face that somebody like turned around and like screwed you over.
Well, I did talk about that on the last episode where I lent that guy some money and then he just disappeared, and it was not repaid.
Not
literally.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well,
what about a kindness? Can you think of any when somebody did something like you're surprised, taken aback by the kindness they showed?
Oh, well, that's a good one. Going back to the start of the episode, I wouldn't have my job if my current employer didn't just kind of take a risk on me based on gut. I was absolutely desperate. Like a couple months after quitting my teaching career, I mean, I always could have gone back. I was always in the back of my mind. I didn't want to. I knew that. Scraping by, trying to make ends meet. And of course, it was February, right? And then, March, things shut down with COVID and everything. So I was doing tutoring on the side. That was helping get by. And then half of that disappeared. Oh man. And I had nothing. Like nobody would hire me. I even had an awful situation where I went. It was a job, sounded great. It was like a trial thing, and they made me do a bunch of stupid tasks, and like it was embarrassing. Like I was like, I've become so desperate, and nothing happened of it, of course. I just wasted a bunch of time and gas driving around the city trying to deposit Bitcoin or some shit, and like it was so embarrassing. It was so demoralizing, and like I was at a point where I had nothing and I couldn't see a way forward. And then I met somebody through a CPL, continuing professional learning course, who sent me off to someone else who I had seen in one of the courses. He was one of the instructors, and he was, kind enough to give me an interview. And it was clear that I think the desperation is pretty obvious in my LinkedIn message to him and everything, and like gave me a little interview. And I remember what he said. He said, "I'm not gonna lie, I'd be putting my neck out trying to hire you. I would be trying to find a role for you, but I like your story. The whole like cancer, whatever, quitting my job. So yeah." And he took a kindness that there was very clearly like a risk involved to him. And I'm not sure that the payoff was obvious. I think it was like, I don't know. Sometimes I think it was just a charity thing, which makes me feel bad about myself. But yeah. Like that was a kindness that continues to pay, literally and figuratively. Like he didn't need to do that. Absolutely not. There's plenty of talented people out there that he could have hired instead, but gave me a chance. There you go.
I guess the payback is I assume you're doing a good job.
Pretty well
at it, working hard at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's your payback.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, so it's definitely not wasted.
Yeah, you're going to be working hard. You're not going to slack off. Not that you would anyways, but if somebody takes a chance on you. Your dog is barking.
Yeah, I know. Millie's a pain in the ass sometimes. She is. Nothing I can do.
Yeah, that was a similar, it's not much of a story, but it was the same thing as I was talking about my boss. She had to go check previous records to see what I was hired at a specific rate of pay linked to the dollar. So she had to, at first when I asked, she's like, no, because everybody was getting, say, 6.7%, 6.7 on the dollar or whatever. So she had to go check the records, and I had 6.8, which is just a small number. But she's like, nah, I don't think so. But she's like, well, wait, let me just double check. So she went and looked through my records. She's like, yeah, that's, she's like, what did she say? She said, that's enough evidence or something like that, worth me risking getting in trouble for, like from the higher up boss. So she's willing to, get, he's probably annoyed that he has to pay more, obviously. So, but she was willing to get in trouble a little bit for that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like the key is like a kindness is never wasted. Like that's the key. I don't believe that.
I suppose why she did it was because I took on a bunch of extra work because they had to get rid of a guy because of, losing money. So I took it on without any complaints. I just said, okay, fine. And then, so then when she did accept it, she's like, well, you never, you have a positive attitude, you're creative, whatever. And that was it. So I guess I did the kindness by taking that on, not complaining and doing my job. And she repaid me with that. So it was a pretty quick turnaround.
Wow. Yeah, that's a heartening tale. Give me 1 second here so I can figure out what's happening with my dog. It'll take me like 5 seconds. It'd be a nightmare.
Okay. All right. The ox is gone on a adventure. I wonder what kind of moral will be told when he arrives back. The ox and the dog. The ox and the barking dog. My guess is the dog is trapped in, one of those little doors that keep them from going down the stairs or something. And he's going to lay a little piece of grass beside her.
Huh? Cider?
Huh. I was saying, so what kind of moral just came out of that interaction with your dog?
I don't.
It's the ox and the dog.
The ox and the dog?
So what happened?
That, I don't know. She's, it's pretty easy. A kindness is never wasted. Well, we take care of her, and she gives a lot back. I don't know. The annoying thing is that I just don't always have enough time. And I know what she needs. She needs to go to the dog park. Dog park's not far away. I just need to take her there. She needs exercise. And she's, you wake up in the morning, it's like having a kid. She goes crazy. She's like a 60, 70 pound dog. Or will be. Very cute. You've seen her, eh?
I don't think so. Maybe one picture.
Yeah, I mean, she's getting so big day after day. And she just needs exercise. And yeah, I know. And the problem is that I'm just so busy. Like I have to take her at lunch, and that's all the way, hours into her waking up. But a kindness is ever wasted. I don't know. Dogs need exercise. That's the moral of that tale.
And then they're your best friend.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. Tiny Cat's not great with her. They kind of play, but Tiny Cat is like claws out, and it's very scary. I'm always like, your eyes stay away from the eyes. But Tiny Cat gets really close, and then you could tell because like they'll swat, and then the claws are like stuck in Millie's fur, and I'm like, shit, those claws are right out there.
It's not a friendly cat. I never liked that cat.
I love Tiny Cat. He's awesome. He's very friendly. He just doesn't know how to play. He has like a very serious way of engaging with animals and humans. That's how I'll describe him. Yeah.
Fair enough. So we have a couple examples of that. I think we covered that. But any other kindnesses, if we keep it on a positive, optimistic note?
Kindnesses. Yeah, I guess there's the altruism that, often, I don't know, but my parents are really caring about me. I definitely don't always pay that back. So I guess that's going against it. I just really prefer to be left alone most of the time. Solitary individual. So I guess that was the opposite, but they definitely give more than they get. Yeah. No, I don't know. Like at work's weird because that's not. There's always a transactional side to it. I don't know if like I could think of other times when outside of getting the job where I've been done a kindness. I mean, because it's all give and take, right? Personal life, yeah, I've already talked about that. What about you?
I can just think of when I was growing up, I guess, like, because as you know, I don't have my driver's license. So I always had to get rides from my dad and my brother, which in the end, he probably disliked it a bunch, but at the same time, we got to spend that little time together, like a half-hour drive or whatever to work. So all those times that either he or my brother did things that they didn't have to do, but they did, which was nice. In the same vein, one of my buddies from university also helped me pack up all my stuff and drive it back to Kelowna from Vancouver. So that was nice.
But that's a long drive.
Yeah,
through that friggin' that Curly Mountain Trail, isn't it?
Yeah. Ice Road Truckers.
I remember that from going to the Okanagan from Vancouver. God damn it. That was, and I had to drive. That was so weird. It was with my another, girlfriend then. And like, I didn't know the family at all, really. I just knew her, obviously. And it was me, her, another work colleague who'd come up from like Washington State, and my girlfriend's mom, and they rented a car. And I was like, well, you'll drive it, right? I'm like, I guess. Okay, I guess I'm driving the car. That was the craziest drive, and that was during the fires. So we're like going up the windiest trails. I've never experienced anything like it. And you're like climbing. It was so weird. And then like the smoke in the valley below. Yeah, weird time.
It's 4-hour drive, something like that.
It's not that far.
No.
Like it does. Like it's just that ridiculous route you have to take, right? Circuitous. Yeah. It's a circuitous road.
If anybody knows Ice Road Truckers, I think that's the road.
Is it?
That it's on. Yeah, I think so.
I don't.
Or
really?
It's one of them. I've never seen the show, so.
Okay.
I think.
I'll look up Ice Road Truckers.
Ice Road Truckers Coquihalla.
Truckers Road.
Yeah. On part of that, well, what's an even worse one is going to my hometown. We almost hit a moose on an ice road, and we almost hit a semi-truck at the same time.
Wow. I've never seen a moose in person. Are they gigantic? Are they that big?
They are that big. They're huge. I haven't seen one for a long time. I haven't seen one for years.
Well, getting back to it, I don't know. I definitely don't think that kindnesses are always repaid. In my personal life, they're not. I think in business, things are different, right? It's not like I haven't experienced kindnesses that, and then I've paid them back. So it's not untrue, but like when you break it down, like in business, no. I mean, because you are doing a service for a fee. So It's not quite the same. In my personal life, I've definitely not paid back kindnesses and have had kindnesses not repaid to me. I think that's pretty common in relationships, especially where a lot of that resentment can come from when you experience it. The sense that like, I'm doing all this and you're not giving me anything back. Yeah, I think that's very common. But it's also it's also perceptual. And so if we're going to end on something, let's talk about that. What do you think about, relationships? Do they often, do you get that sense?
I've been in that situation, yeah. But I think, like you said, it might be perception where you think that's the problem with the one for one. Because then you start counting all these things and you're like, oh, I did this, and this, but they didn't do that. So you start getting in this the one for one attitude, and then that's just not a good thing.
No.
I think.
Because then that's a transaction too, right? Like,
yeah.
I think, the one thing I've learned, great book, there's a few of them that kind of harp on the same thing. Was it Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People? And like one of the things is just being of service to others pays off. And it's very true. Like, you just make yourself available, and you almost have to switch things around to act in the expectation that you won't get anything back. And when you do that, you kind of relieve yourself of that symptom of like persecution and unfairness. And then when good things happen, and they do, I think they definitely do happen just as a result of people wanting to be around you more. People are keeping score anyways, so you don't need to, right? So I think that's been a big change. I think it's part of why I've done fairly well in this career change. But it's a hard lesson. I don't know. Do you think that's true? Do you think you have to just do the right thing? Is it like a moral obligation, and then good things come from it?
Seems like it. I've always kind of gotten whatever praise or something for just being easygoing, like going with the flow or whatever. So just doing that, like I could have put up a fight or something like that, and that just would have caused drama. So not that doesn't always happen in a relationship, but at work, I mean. But I was having a conversation about this today, about we were talking about like clickbait and anger and joy and sadness inducing articles, and how that's like a red flag because it's playing on your emotions. So we're having a discussion about like why is being angry something that's like a red flag. And we were talking about why do we remember anger more than other things? And I think it's an evolutionary thing where you want to be careful of that person that crossed you or did something wrong. So we're going to more easily remember stuff that's negative. That's why we have a hard time thinking about like what were those nice things that people did for us. I bet we could have a huge list of negatives, most likely.
Oh yeah, I think you're right about the evolutionary part, right? Like we're wired to avoid situations that put us at a disadvantage or that make us feel uncomfortable, right? Like that's a very primal, like fight or flight kind of state where you're like, nope, don't want that again. Yeah, so you don't want to be that person. I don't know what the solution is all the time. I mean, it's definitely true. Like you said, in your case, from real world, that played out, right? Like you said earlier, how you've got this better pay as a result of the goodwill that you've built up. So in that case, it definitely pays off. Yeah.
So maybe this moral relates better to like a work environment. It's not always like in a personal relationship or like people you meet on the street type of deal.
Strangers, maybe. I don't know.
Kindness of strangers.
Isn't that kind of like depressing? like it only works when you're getting paid. Well, I think
there probably are some. When somebody does something nice for you, or like that you don't even know, and they smile or do say like a nice comment or whatever, you are happy in that moment. You might carry forward that positive energy, and you kind of maybe say something to somebody else or whatever.
Yeah, that could be. I think that's a good point. Maybe I read that book I mentioned before, Anti-Fragile, and like he makes this comment about how, because he was in investing before Nassim Taleb, and he said something that really stuck with me, because I was like, is that possibly true? Where he's like, business or commerce is the most honest of all human enterprises or something like that. And like what you're just saying might kind of be true, because we could put a value to it, like you give me money and I give you this, right? You give me, but maybe that also applies to feelings. And like when you say, well, I really enjoy having you around, you're a big value add. And that's something that businesses are looking for all the time. It's not just about like your skills, but like what you bring to the culture of the team. So, I mean, there's obviously a value attached to it. And when there's a value attached to it, and it's not just doing favors for one person or the other, then that's a pretty honest way of, paying somebody back. So, wow, I did not expect that. That's a really good point. And I think it points out, my own bias towards business, the more I work with business, but yeah, I think you might have something there.
So then we have to think of our personal relationships, not really as a business, but as an investment. Like if I put in all this positive energy into this person, I'm going to get a return as well. A positive, like there's no way that somebody's just going to be shitty to you if you're like, well, I hope anyways, you're always, trying, you're saying nice things to them and you're doing your part. I think you're going to get that in return in most cases.
Yeah, and even if it doesn't get paid back immediately, there's always there's always the positive effects of being happy. I
Mm-hmm.
think I get something like, once in a while like just a stupid thing, like I did my nice thing for the day, like I opened a door for somebody, or I said hello to somebody on the street. I get a little something back from that. I don't know what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
it does have an impact. Yeah.
It's just like that little, like it's the same sort of idea when you do your laundry or whatever, and you hang it up. You're like, yeah, I
Look,
did that. That's
look
done.
at me. Yeah, that's true. A little endorphin rush, right? You got a checklist item off, even whatever it is. Yeah, it's all. Unfortunately, or fortunately, maybe like everything's transactional, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going a little bit over, but that was good. I really enjoyed that conversation actually, and it's kind of helped me focus a little bit more on the or reinforce my prior beliefs. So what I've been thinking about relationships and business in general. So yeah, let's wrap it up. What do you think? Is this moral true? Is a kindness is never wasted?
I would say so. Let's keep it on the optimistic side, where we should be paid back eventually.
I generally agree. I think that in personal relationships, it's not always true because there's some perception involved there. What is a kindness? Oh, that's just something you're supposed to do, which is unfortunate. Maybe we'd all be better off being thinking of things transactionally. I mean, keeping a mental list of good things that people did for us, so that we make sure that we're keeping the ledger balanced.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Glad we could connect a day later, but no less better off. And yeah, keep up the good work out there. It's a tough job you got, and yeah, that's it from me.
All right. Stay kind.
Stay kind; it'll pay back.
Talk to you later.